Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another video. Well, if you like American cars, this is definitely the video for you. But if you like cars that is not the typical muscle car from the 70s, oh, Corvette, oh, Camaro, oh, the Pontiac GTO. No, I see, it's coming up with a Dodge Challenger. No, 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 no. Now, if you like more simple but more popular cars from back in the 70s, cars that were in everybody's budget, most likely if you were planning to buy a new car, these were more in the budget friendly models. Now let's give it a proper presentation. What I got for you right now, it's a 143 scale 1973 Ford Maverick 3, Ford Maverick two-door sedan. Now, if you're watching this video and you're barely 18, or you're very young, or you're not too familiar with the car industry back in the days, you don't have to be young to not be familiar. Maybe you're just not into the history of cars like that. And you say, hold on a second. Ford Maverick. Wasn't the Maverick a pickup? Nowadays, they're being sold as a pickup. Yes, you are correct. Yes, yes, you're definitely in the right track. But this is the original Ford Maverick, and it's definitely not a pickup. And you know what is even more strange? This was considered a compact car. So if you thought that was enough, and the size of this car, it has nothing of a compact size. To me, this is more like a full size two-door sedan. But you know what? Back in the days, these were on the smaller side for a marketed American car. Remember, the competition for these cars were what is it? The Chevrolet Vega, that was probably one of their main competitions. And Dodge had the Dart, I think was it. And the Dart or the Vega or this one, the Maverick, none of them were really a small car. But again, compared to other full-size land yachts, these were peppy little toy cars for the new learning how to drive. These were good for beginner cars, like beginner people that were learning how to drive. Now, this model here, the Ford Maverick, came out in 1969 all the way down to 1977. Now, in Brazil, this model was sold all the way till 1979 because they also had an assembly line in Brazil too. Now, talking about assembly lines, this car had, let's see, one in three in the United States, two in Canada, one in Mexico, one in Brazil, and one in Venezuela. Okay. Now, like I said before, they were considered compact cars. The body styles, there was a two-door sedan, like the one that we're looking at the video right now, and there was also a four-door sedan version of this model, which was probably the more popular one for like the families, and this is probably more popular for like youngsters that wanted a cheap but two-door car. Then you had these. Okay. There was a sister model, almost very identical, very few twitches here and there, which was a Mercury Comet, I think. Yeah, the Mercury Comet. That was from 71 to 77, Mercury Comet. But it was literally very almost identical, like I said before. Engines. Let's talk about engines. Oh, now I don't have the Ford put in their vehicle a 2.8 six-cylinder. Then you have a 3.3 six-cylinder, a 4.1 six-cylinder, and also a 4.9 eight-cylinder. And again, this is considered a compact car with a 4.9 eight-cylinder engine. Wow, quite interesting. It says here transmissions It says here Ford C4 transmissions in automatic models. Not sure what they mean by that. Maybe there's a special type of automatic transmission for these models. Okay, let's see here. History. The Maverick was introduced on April 17, 1969 as a 1970 model. It was actually priced at $1,995, which equal to $16,153 in 2024 dollars. So figure that out. How cheap cars were back then, and how expensive are they now? You cannot even buy a Mitsubishi Mirage for $15,000 or $16,000. They go for at least 19, 20,000 at least. Okay, so back in the days, it was more affordable comparing prices. How cheap cars were. It says nearly 579,000 Mavericks were produced in its first year. Okay, approaching a record-setting first year of Mustang sales. Mustang actually built 619,000, and it says here, and easily outpaced the Mustang's sales of fewer than 2,000 in 1970. The total North American Maverick production reached 2.1 million units. Hmm, wow. And you know what? The car came out in the time that the gasolines were increasing. So that's when people were already trying to buy cheaper cars. So those gas guzzlers, they were not as good as these. So these got even more popular. All right, I'm gonna let it go around a few times, just a few, and I'll be right back. All right, everyone. By the way, if you're not familiar with this model, it's a collection of American cars from back in the days. Kind of consider like in the group of muscle cars, but there's not much of a muscle in this. Definitely, it's more a collection of American cars from throughout the years. All right, everyone. Let me know in the comments below. Was the Maverick ever sold in your country, especially the European market? I'm not sure how if they ever sold the Maverick in any country in Europe. If they did, let me know. Were they popular? Did they actually sold them in the market where you live? Actually, were they reliable? Do you still see them around? Maybe in a car show or in a museum, or maybe a neighbor has one as a collectible. You let me know in the comments. You let me know. And don't forget to give me that beautiful thumbs up. Thank you so much. And don't forget to click and subscribe. The Click the bell next to the subscribe button that will remind you when I'm posting more videos. Take care of yourselves, as I always say, more than ever, and goodbye.